time, they were even thinking about going back to that federation, the federated states, so that they could have, at best, self-governing institutions, so that the teachers could be able to teach their own children in English language, not bringing French-speaking teachers and judges who don't speak English to come and ruin the children and destroy, the legal system, which was essentially very different. Because the French droit civil is very different from the English law. While the French claim that you are guilty until proven innocent, the British common law, you are innocent until proven guilty. Two different things with serious consequences. And so you bring people who don't know their left from the right to come and be harassing people, creating problems in the region, refusing to even learn the English. Because when they talk about this bilingualism in Cameroon, bilingualism is code for English-speaking people learning French. I did. I'm perfectly fluent in French, but I refuse to speak it today because I'm upset. Because that bilingualism was for my people. Bilingualism was for English-speaking people because first you needed it to survive. If you had to go to school, there was that one miserable university in Cameroon, University of Yaoundé. They call it Yaoundé 1 today. We used to call it Ngwaikele. If you did not know French, you will not survive in that place. How can a country that had two federated states not have a university in the English-speaking part of that country? To get to the point where you even have the University of Boya, it was a struggle. And every time the English-speaking people fought for something, that is when the rest of the country will jump on the bandwagon and start claiming that, oh, the problems are all over the place. No, it's not. Biya did not declare war on French-speaking Cameroon. He declared war on Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians. Declared war on them. If they are his people, how can he declare war on them? Simply because they wanted basic human rights. They wanted decency. They wanted a safe environment to perform their duties as teachers, as lawyers, a decent school system for kids to go to school. Instead of listening to those problems that have been coming up and quite often from the 60s. It only culminated to the events of 2016. Instead of listening to what the people wanted, instead of trying to solve that problem, of course, in the usual arrogant attitude and manner that they copied from France, their master, they decided to send the military to crush people who were just walking down the street, protesting. Genuine, they have a right to protest. In the English system, people have a right to protest and demand things from their government. That is something that La République and the French people don't understand. And so it is, therefore, within this context that we look at this historicity and legality of the Ambazonian movement, or that quest for freedom, for dignity, and ultimate independence for Ambazonia, the new nation that they want to have. It is from experiencing more than 60 years of torture, of neglect, of marginalization, and coming to the understanding La République du Cameroun doesn't and will never love Southern Cameroonians. Their actions, their attitude, the mannerism of their ministers and executive members of government says it all. At a time when people were protesting and demanding basic rights, they called them cockroaches, they called them rats, they called them all kinds of names to be crushed. Because they don't care. That is the bottom line. They don't care. Instead of that, if the ministers that are appointed by the president made some mistakes by coming out and calling people rats and cockroaches in front of the world to see, the head of state, the president of the nation, should have come out and called those members of his government to order. In fact, a few good francophones or French speaking La République citizens know the truth, and they've been saying it from when they started, that that is not the best way to handle a situation. Of course, they say nobody listens because that is the kind of regime that obtains in Cameroon. Instead of the head of state coming out to condemn all the noise and things that his ministers were saying, what did he do? Oh, he was eager and happy to come and declare a war on the people of Ambazonia, southern Cameroons, on November 30th, 2017. He declared a war. On his return, in fact, he was at the airport, returning from one of those delinquent trips that he takes abroad. The only head of state or president in the world who goes away for months on end without telling anybody where he's going, who spends money, people's money, hard-earned currency, money generated from southern Cameroon's industries, money that could have been used to develop the nation. As we speak, every year, thousands die on horrible roads in Cameroon because there's no road that you can see and say, oh, look, this is a highway or this is a freeway. I'm so proud of this new road. No, people are struggling on bad roads and dying. It doesn't mean anything. It's like an annual ritual of sacrificing lives that people have to die from accidents, road accidents. We have the incidence of COVID-19 that took the world by surprise, and that only aggravated and heightened the that country was facing, showed the total lack of infrastructure, medical facilities, need to fight the pandemic. It is not that, oh, no. That country is not poor. We cannot say that Cameroon, just like we cannot say that Africa is poor. No. There's a lot of resources that are wasted. The priorities are upside down. And so somebody who is supposed to be leading a country, developing a country, nurturing the youth to go to school, providing scholarships for universities and high school kids, takes the money, goes to France or Switzerland, spends the money in Hotel Continental in Geneva with a whole entourage, and people are suffering in the hospital because they don't even have syringes to administer medicine to patients. Schools, some of the schools, you cannot even call them schools because they are made out of bamboo and things like that, and they're proud to call themselves the head of state. We had the recent AFCON, the football games that they insisted on bringing to Cameroon to confuse and show the international world that there's no war in Cameroon and that everything was fine and dandy. Of course, that only highlighted the challenges, the disgrace that was caused because nothing worked. You know, a cover for bad governance instead of solving the problem. He declared a war in 2017. We are today in 2020. They had said that war would end It may be 3 weeks or a month or 2 months. They were all bragging. The ministers were bragging, you know. And we are here today. We are here today. The war is still raging and nothing is being done. The consequences of that war are devastating on Southern Cameroonians. Also for that country called La République du Cameroun, even if they don't want to accept it. Because Southern Cameroons was literally their breadbasket. Not only their breadbasket, it was also a place where they generated a lot of money from Southern Cameroon's resources. The oil refinery in Limbe generated millions in revenue. And since this war was declared, the toll, not only on Southern Cameroonians, but on that entire country called La République, has also been devastating. And so it's not that the war is only affecting Southern Cameroonians, because that was their intention. Declare a war, destroy and kill everybody, because that is what they know how to do. Kill, 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 and kill. But killing never solves any problem. A war never really solves any problem, because a war will definitely destroy many lives, destroy many people, you know. And so if we look at this in terms of, you know, the cultural debates that have been going on and what is this historical context and what it means, we're looking at a situation that could have been averted. But because of arrogance and stupidity, it wasn't. It was aggravated instead. And now, the movement or the revolution called Amazonian movement for freedom and independence has grown from strength to strength. From the lowly days of boys going on the streets, women and children marching in 2017, when they rose up in unison with peace plans. Peace plans, for those who understand the Amazonian culture, is a plant that signifies peace. You carry a peace plant, you go somewhere, they know that even if you're coming to complain, you come in peace. Carrying the peace plant meant that they had nothing against the government. They are just there to make their voices heard. They are there to denounce the continuing colonization and the illegal occupation of their land. And when we talk about that illegal occupation of the land or that assimilation, it's not that we're making things up. In fact, President Paul Biya, when confronted by Mo Ibrahim during an interview in Paris, France, had to now come out and say, no, we tried to assimilate these people for years, but we failed because we are two different people. We have different cultures, and the language difference did not help. He said it with his own mouth. So what is there for people not to understand? That we are, in essence, different people. Different people that could never live together. It's like having a marriage. And when you say that the marriage is the one that will kill you, you insist on staying there because, oh, you are married. No, that is why there is something called a divorce. So that if the marriage is not working, then the last resort is a divorce. And so Southern Cameroonians are divorcing from La République. Their independence was October 1st, 1961. La République du Cameroon's independence was January 1st, 1960. How on earth could we be the same country when we have two independence days? We can't have two independent days. Well, separate people, separate states, two independent dates. And so the fallacy called 20th May that we celebrate is not a day to celebrate. It's the day that Southern Cameroons lost their soul, lost their integrity, lost their nation. It is a day that will forever remain a shadow. And the 11th February, that is also celebrated as Youth Day, is the day of that plebiscite. The plebiscite that also did not help Southern Cameroonians. So nothing to celebrate. Nothing to celebrate. Like I said before, I could go on and on and on and on, but it is a situation where you have to talk and stop at some point. But let me remind us of the consequences of this so-called war that was declared on Southern Cameroons. Since last year, or since 2020, what are we, 2021, 2022, as of last year, you have over 30,000 people killed. Over 500 of Amazonian villages burned down or razed. A page literally pulled from the French archives. Burning, hurt burning as a form of punishment. That was from the colonial page book. You have over 1 million school kids deprived of education because of the insecurity. You have over 500,000 refugees that have spilled into neighboring Nigeria and other countries around. You have over 1.5 million internally displaced people, thousands maimed, raped, others imprisoned. You have over 10,000 widows and more than 15,000 orphans. Who does that to his own people? How can the world sit and watch and do nothing? Now, others have said this is a genocide, that so-called war in Southern Cameroon is a genocide because all the characteristics of the genocide are there. And it has been likened to another Rwanda. And so instead of solving the problems, the world is also doing what they did with Rwanda. Debates over whether or not it's a war, it's a conflict, it's a genocide, and people are dying. And so it's time to really wake
Lives
up,
are
because
wasted.
Yes, lives are wasted and we cannot afford it. That's it. I don't even want to get into some of the intricacies of what happened during the kidnapping of the
No,
Naira
no,
10 or what happened.
Professor Bridget, I think you're going to get into those intricacies during your next session, which comes up on Friday. And Friday is
Yeah.
going to be a heated session. You will be with Barrister Ghana Valentine. I want to seize
Oh,
this
I'm
opportunity to
Friday.
all those. Yeah, Friday with Barrister Ghana. We're concluding it on Friday. We're going to have Barrister Ghana Valentine on Friday. We'll also have you on Friday. And I think we'll have at least 4 speakers on Friday. That is before 10 p.m. that the women are having a talk show, because ABC Amba TV will be beaming it on the home front. I want to seize this opportunity to all our viewers that are watching you, to just, for those that are watching on Facebook, just send some love. Keep sending in some love and some thank you to Professor Bridget, to Dr. Winnie Lobati. These are busy women, powerful Amazonian women who have created the time to come and to talk to us on this very wonderful day and during this special conference. During such a time when a lot of our forebears, our parents, our elder brothers, and even now our children are living in a lie. ABC TV is making it possible for Amazonians to be informed from being disinformed and misinformed. This is a revolution, and a revolution is new things happening. For a people to evolve during a revolution, there should be education, and that is the sole responsibility of ABC Amber TV. Right now, Dr. Bridget, thank you very much. You've really expanded on your subject so diligently and so intelligently. I am made to understand
Thank you.
that of State for Communications and IT is backstage. But let me hand over the mic to the ladies in the studio. They will anchor the program from there. Thank you very much, Dr. Bridget. I'm so pleased to have you. You were flying. I don't want to give your location. And while in the flight, you and I were talking about this, and you were supposed to be sleeping at this time to get a rest, and
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
haven't rested. And one of the things we discussed is you're a soldier, and you're going to do this. At the end of tonight, I think you just stay at the back. You, Dr. Winnie Lobati, and the Secretary of State for Community, when he's done with his own presentation for tonight, where you will receive questions from the people and also from, but most especially from Amazonians. It's an exceptional time. It's a conference, so you have opportunity to talk to these very special Amazonians. Everyone is special to our Amazonian leaders that have decided to make or to grace this conference. Now the mic, Onye and Star Smart, the mic is all yours.
Thank you.
Right, thank you so much, Professor Bridget Table. Thank you so much for that lecture. And we'll go ahead to meet Dr. Martin Mungwa. I'm sure you know him, but how well do you know Dr. Martin Mungwa? And so I'll be asking and then answering the question afterwards. Of course, that smart is here. So who is Dr. Martin Mungwa? Now, it is always very important for us to bring to your knowledge the man who stands as a spokesperson for Ambazonian. The Secretary of State for Communication and IT will bring us a very vital message. The Cameroon Bank debacle and how PM Musonge stole 3.5 billion FCFA from CDC. The untold stories. Dr. Martin Mungwa is a fellow of the American Society of Civil Engineers, FASCE.
He is a certified project management professional, PMP, an ICC special inspector on structural steel and bolting, and a U.S. licensed professional engineer, PE, registered in several states. He also holds 2 patents on structural connectors and now serves his oppressed people, the people of the former British Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, as spokesperson for the interim government of Ambazonia. Today he captions his talk, A Road to Somewhere, Our Common Cultural Heritage.
Dr. Mungwa, the mic is yours. Please talk to us. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you.
There.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much. I very much enjoyed the lecture by Professor Bridget Tebel, and she's a real professional, and I think it's a role model to a lot of young Ambazonians, both men and women. So today, I'm going to talk about a very important topic, which is very dear to our heart. And I also believe that it's a topic that is actually consistent with the message of the 20th May. Something about our historic past. Why did we choose the culture or the system that we have today? So first, 21 gun salute to the Restoration Forces. Fellow Ambazonians, good day or global greetings to all of you. So today my talk will be A Road to Somewhere, our common cultural heritage. Dear Ambazonians and the international community, today we want to talk about culture and the cultural choices in Ambazonia. We also want to clarify certain misunderstandings about the choices that the interim government has made about the future. Many of these misunderstandings have been deliberately conceived and implanted into the cultural fabric of the recolonizer over decades in deliberate efforts to wipe off the heritage of our people. I mean the great people of Ambazonia. The colonial regime in Yaoundé labels us with many names. To them, we are Noso, Anglophones, Anglophiles, Ambazozo, Ambazoniens, and the list continues. La République and France continue to label our quest for independence as an effort to break up their country. They forget that their country has a unique boundary with the former British Southern Cameroons, our country, Ambazonia, and that our common boundary is established by a treaty deposited at the United Nations. Dear Ambazonians, let me state here that it makes no sense for Cameroon, La République du Cameroon, to claim to her France-Afrique partners that we are seeking a colonial culture by distinguishing ourselves from our claimed brothers and sisters based on a common foreign language that we speak. Ambazonians are evidently not brothers and sisters to La République. How many times has anyone seen La République citizens protesting the blistering violence in Ambazonia? Let me clarify the position of Ambazonia on foreign languages. We of Ambazonia have a colonial inheritance in the English language by virtue of cultural interaction with Great Britain. Though not native to the area, the modern English language has been domesticated in Ambazonia since the early 18th century with the arrival of the Reverend Alfred Secker. The Reverend Alfred Secker came from the London Baptist Missionary Society and established a vibrant colony in 1858 on the coastal plain of Ambazonia. The settlement was christened Victoria after the reigning British Empress to parallel the majestic grandeur of the slopes of Mount Fako or Mount Ambazonia. A later arrival in 1888 by Germans did not leave a permanent cultural footprint in Ambazonia due to the brevity of the German Protectorate of Cameroon and the return of the United Kingdom as administrator at the end of the First World War until 1961. The world's third most commonly spoken language after Mandarin and Spanish was consolidated in Ambazonia in the then autonomous federal state of West Cameroon. That's from 1917 to 1972. To mark the 10th anniversary of abolishing the aggregative Cameroon Federation in 1982, President Ahidjo surprisingly attempted to diminish the legacy of Reverend Alfred Secker by decreeing the name change to the majestic city from Victoria to an unknown entity called Limbe. The negative impact on historic, commercial, and cultural ties between Victoria and the City of London was tolerated with silent disdain in Ambazonia. Victoria remains the picturesque economic capital of Ambazonia with natural but underdeveloped deep sea docks. In subsequent years, the degradation of English language teaching in Ambazonian schools by French-speaking teachers masqueraded as bilingual teachers by the propaganda-obsessed political leadership of French Cameroon is one of the many causes of Ambazonian nationalist resurgence since 2016. In a nutshell, the people of Ambazonia recognize English as the premier language of science, aviation, tourism, technology, computers, diplomacy, and international commerce. Ambazonians therefore reaffirm that English shall be the official language of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, alongside more than 20 national languages, including Pidgin, French, Franglais, German, Chinese, and Spanish. The Amazonian people know with alacrity that many governments on mainland Europe, particularly those in France, have in the late part of the last century lowered the age at which English language is taught in primary schools out of necessity in a world driven by globalization and the internet. The attachment to English language in Ambazonia is due to a Commonwealth nexus and a desire to adopt a more competitive lingua franca to advance the country in all spheres of endeavor. The English language gives us in Ambazonia a road to somewhere. Our people have resolutely rejected the road to nowhere adopted by La République since the Treaty of December 26, 1959 with France. That treaty empowered France to mercilessly rape African peoples. La République began life by losing 80% of her foreign earnings to France as a price for speaking French. Nowadays, France pockets 50% of all foreign earnings of La République as a tax for the use of French. That is a road to nowhere and is sufficient cause to ignite a war. Ambazonians reject stupidity and will fight to the last man to be free from France and her France-Afrique vassal Cameroon. Long live the people of Ambazonia. Short live the revolution and war of independence. Thank you very much. Over to you, ladies.
Right, thank you so much, Dr. Martins. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that all our listeners in the home front and in diaspora are ready for their questions. And then we'll hand over the mic right about now to Mr. Pardy to coordinate the questions for our guest, for all Ambazonians in the home front and in diaspora. Mr. Pardy, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Loud and clear.
That's amazing. I also want the technicians to confirm that Dr. Winnie Lobati and Professor Bridget are still at the backstage when the SOS will be speaking in a few minutes and taking some questions. I hope that they will all also join to take some questions. I know Ambazonians that are watching us have been wanting to talk to them. I've been following the comment section. I'm asking all those who are watching, I want you to just make a hashtag. You just put the ABC Amba News Conference hashtag. Ambazonia is free hashtag. For those watching on social media, continue to do that. When you do that, you give the chance for many more people to watch the show. I believe that by Friday, when we are concluding the conference, we would have had thousands of hashtags. We've just heard Dr. Munga was so brief, so intense. Dr. Winnie Lobati was extensive in her discussion or argument that the interim government is what we needed. And Professor Bridget Table came and spoke lengthily on the historicity and legality of Ambazonia's quest for freedom. She is going to get into part 2 of that discussion. I want to bring back to our knowledge. She'll be getting back into the part 2 on Friday with Barrister Ghana Valentine. We'll also have Barrister Tim Behesa join them. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to have Barrister Ghana Valentine, and we're going to have Pastor Commando, I guess, with Pastor Victor. They're going to talk to us on very important aspect: religion, church, and politics. We hope to have a Muslim join into the discussion. We are yet trying to make that conversation, because we want to have a diversified discussion and argument. Since the Muslim community is part of Amazonia, we hope that talking about religion and politics, we want to get the Muslim perspective, and we are making that communication. And if it is fruitful, by tomorrow you have all of them on the panel. But we hope that before Friday they will be on the panel. On Thursday, the President of the Federal Republic of Amazonia will be addressing the nation at 8 Amba time. That is 2 hours after the conference would have started. We will have some pre-discussions. Lady Casey, the press secretary, and myself, with a few others with the newsroom, would have been live for at least 2 hours, talking on very critical, bringing reports before the president addresses the nation. And I'm sure he would like to take some calls from the general public. So for those of you watching, you've heard the discussions so far from yesterday into today. You want to call to put your contribution. I'm asking the technicians to put the the number. You know the number is the same number you used the last time, to put it on the screen for everyone that is watching to be able to call in. But Dr. Mungwa, are you there? Please, I want someone to bring Dr. Mungwa and I. Let's start the discussion before we get our people. It's been an amazing time, indeed. Dr. Mungwa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
That's amazing. You are following up the conference, and I know you have a lot of comments to make in relation to this conference and the objective of it. But before we get to that, I want to find out from you what you think based on the news we're getting from the home front. We have different news outlets reporting differently from different parts of Amazonia. The response of the people has not been equivalent. I want you to make a comment on that.
Oh yeah, thank you, Paddy. I think it's been very clear from what I've been getting from Ground Zero that we've had an overwhelming support from the major towns, and a little bit of a lesser sort of following from the hinterland for a variety of reasons. I mean, one of it is actually communication. It is at times a little bit difficult for people to be subjected to a barrage of information. And I think what they normally do is that when they are sort of in the hinterland, they probably take a very safe position. And a safe position would be, okay, I may not really, I don't know what is happening. And especially when people live far apart, it's difficult to exchange notes. But in the major cities where it is very clear that it's very easy to go out because you may not be alone, I think the information it was very, very positive. First, from the little I was able to gather not so long ago, we've had very positive results in all the major cities, and I think that's what I would like to report. And we also have to understand that you can see in some of the statements or some of the messages that have been given to Ground Zero that it is fundamentally faulty. Fundamentally faulty. You take a case where, and I'm not going to mince words here. You have somebody like Chris Anu actually going on air and lying that in fact the 20th May celebrations have been moved forward to today, and yet obviously that is not true. That is absolutely not true. So it gives an indication as to the character and the nature of this man. When you have somebody who has consistently in the past told lies, I mean, we can count at least 5 of them. I mean, from talking about the president, about having a girlfriend in Minnesota, which came out to be false, talking about the president who took money from CDC that came out to be false. I really wonder why people still listen to this fellow and believe him. It is just amazing. I mean, some people are so gullible that it doesn't matter the number of times that this gentleman tells the people something. It doesn't matter. They still keep on following him. I think, if somebody has 1, 2, 3 strikes out, I think moving forward, some people should just have to understand that this is not somebody you can trust. He is a serial liar. And I think we are going to go into some details about some of the declarations that he sent out to Ground Zero, hopefully on this program. Moving on. Over to you, Paddy.
Yeah, sorry, Doctor. I just had a call coming in there from the home front, so I was trying to verify. It would appear the person has an issue with connection. Yes, like you have just said it. Nobody could say it any better. You've just said it. There's no better way we can say it. This is a man who is shameless, who can lie to get anything. And there's this other lie that you and I discussed about it earlier on. I shared it with you, and you were going to make consultation to get facts. The lie is coming in, and you also have this individual. One should expect that he is a good lawyer, and he should know how legal issues are processed. Amazonians,
Yeah.
you do not litigate now because they got some activists who litigated some issues on the social media, manipulated Amazonians with fraudulent documents. You have a lawyer. I'm talking about. Is it what is his name? Martin something. This lawyer would make a very provocative statement, which I shared with you earlier on, and he as a lawyer who should normally be an investigator cannot even substantiate his statement. Now it has to do with the national treasury. I know you do not want to divulge a lot of information in this regard to the public because of legal advice, but people are worried. Hundreds of people have received calls. I even received a call from someone and a home from who is saying that Mr. Ano is saying that they have defeated Dr. Sako in court and the lawyers are requesting are requesting for him to hand over. That is such a cheap lie. Sometimes, sir, you can actually talk something, and then this is just funny. Go ahead.
Listen, it is so, how do I put it? I think it also describes the mental state of Chris Ano. I just have a feeling that he's having some hallucinations about what he thinks reality should be. And I will not be surprised if they diagnose him with some mental problem, because it is not on television where you come and discuss legal issues and you draw conclusions as to what is going to happen. This is fact number one. Dr. Sako does not have any signature in any of the accounts. So if Chris Ano and Marianta have an issue, they want to deal with the treasury, the people they have, the people they have to refer their issues to are the Amba Foundation and the Southern Cameroons Foundation. It has nothing to do with Dr. Sako. He's not a signatory to that account. So when they keep on talking about Dr. Sako giving money or doing that, it is so silly. Second, even the word IG is not a copyright. So why is he talking about the IG? It's like seeing somebody whose name is Martin. I say, you have no right to use that name. It's my name. I'm going to come and inherit your things because your name is Martin. It doesn't make sense. The IG is not a copyright. So all the legal issues is not with the IG. It is with the board members of Ambazonian Foundation and Southern Cameroons Foundation. So if Chris Ano is going out there to talk about Dr. Sako either being put to jail or it again is so silly. There is nothing there that has to do with Dr. Sako. And now that he has stated that within 7 days, Dr. Sako will be in jail, is good. He will wait. Next Tuesday, we want to ask Chris Ano whether he has Dr. Sako has been arrested. It is so silly. Even in the United States, it doesn't happen that way. You don't give somebody a 7-day ultimatum and then after that you just come arrest you. This guy is dreaming in La Republique. If you listen to what Professor Bridget Tibble said about the different legal systems, in the French system, you are found guilty before proven innocent. And in the Anglo-Saxon law, you are innocent before proven guilty. So how come that suddenly Dr. Sako in 7 days will be arrested or something harm done to him if this fellow is not thinking in La Republique ways? I'm telling you, this guy's gone mental. So it is totally
Dr.
it's
Mumba.
so inconsistent.
Dr. Mumba,
Yes.
I think you're giving him a lot of credence to even think that, to say that he's thinking in a La Republique way. First of all, because he really doesn't have a thought pattern. Now, saying that he's thinking in a La Republique way, you're saying that, like from what Professor Bridget said, you are actually insinuating that Mr. Ano has a civil law understanding. No, he has zero understanding in civil law or in the common law system. If you look at the trend of events from last year, October into this year, you realize he is an individual who, first of all, does not have a vision, number one. Number two, is not coherent with his speech. He talks, forgets, he lies. The bad part of it all is that he lies like he breathes, and he's not consistent. He cannot even follow up with a lie. He says something this morning, and in the evening he says something else. He can just say anything just so that you follow him live. Think about the fact that he comes up to say that Cameroon, the Cameroonian government at least has a way of sending out information. And if Cameroon thinks that they want to start celebrating 20th May, which historically and logically would be stupid of them, if they are going to start it today, they will communicate it via their official platforms. And we've not seen that anywhere. Arno shamelessly, he calls himself a journalist, stands and looks at the people and he tells them, hey, Cameroon has decided that the celebration will start from the 17th. Now, when that fails, he comes up yesterday evening with an audio to tell the people, hey, listen, they'll be arresting you tomorrow, so don't go out. The point I want us to hit on before the ladies ask some questions, Dr. Mongwa, is why is he so desperate? What is it all about, this desperacy? Can you try to,
yes,
to talk to us a little bit? Yeah.
When you are no longer part of the people, when the people no longer believe in you, when the people no longer trust you, you threaten, you kill, you do everything to get people on your side. It is that simple. Chris Anu and the band of liars or frauds around him, they all know that. They all know that. But the one thing they don't know is that the Ambazonian people are very bright. They can see through. I would not imagine that if Marianta was some sort of a lady of honor, she would let somebody like Chris Anu, a liar, in her cabinet with all the multiple proofs that he has been lying and lying from the day they ever formed, I don't know, the coup plotters group. And every other person in their midst, they all sit there and they know that they are all lying. But they believe that others will believe in them. You can itemize them. From the check that the CDC supposedly gave Dr. Sako in the presence of Chris Anu, from some girlfriend in Minnesota, a place where Dr. Sako has never been to now there is a convocation. That's what I heard. Somebody said convocation. I don't know what that means. He's been summoned to hand over the treasury or the ABC to Marianta and the other group. That is not how you talk about a legal outcome. If that is true, it will be registered. And if you Google it, they will tell you that something happened and this was the judgment. You can't just come on television and decide and tell the people, oh, I'm going to take him to court, and they're going to arrest him and they'll take him to jail and he'll be forced to hand over the treasury. Dr. Sako has nothing to do with the treasury. His signature is nowhere in the treasury. It simply means that even those who actually run the treasury, Chris does not know. So if you do not know, how are you even going to get something when you don't know who is holding it? You tell me. He should be addressing it to the Ambazonian Foundation, the Southern Cameroon Foundation, not Dr. Sako. I mean, he has such a crush on Dr. Sako that I don't know whether this guy will ever survive without calling Dr. Sako every single day. That's how I look at it. He has a crush on him. Maybe he's just envious of the way Dr. Sako is such a statesman, such a leader, that these are qualities that he can never emulate in his entire life. Over to you, Paddy.
Yeah, it's important. I want to read a comment that is coming in. Very soon I'll be going through some of your comments on Facebook. For those of you who cannot call in, I'll just read through some of your comments. But these are messages coming in from WhatsApp groups, and you have a very interesting appreciation there coming in. The Madam Professor is a wonderful, I'm sure Professor Bridget is definitely listening to me, and she has a bright smile anyway, and she should be smiling. They said the Madam Professor is a wonderful woman with so much mastery of the Amazonian history. Yes, if you listen to her CV, she is a history professor in UMass. UMass is one of the best universities in the United States of America, and
No,
she's an Amazonian
Paddy, make
woman.
it very clear. Is she's a professor in rank, because a professor is a general name for people who teach at the university. He has the title
Yes, no,
of
please
professor.
explain.
That's the
Yes,
highest rank
explain.
at the university
The
as a professor.
title,
Okay,
okay,
make it that
professor
very
in
clear.
rank and a lecturer
Yes,
in the University of
that's right.
UMass. So she's a
Okay.
researcher and she is a
Uh-huh.
lecturer. She is a
Mhm.
scholar. Put all the adjectives to it. If you have some of them, open your dictionary, investigate them, and put it there. So this interested Amazonian is saying that we need this intellectual, intelligent woman and women in the same manners to re-educate the UN on our plight, what they did in 1961, if they may have forgotten. Yes, Professor Bridget, if you don't know, I think she will have the opportunity to respond to you in a little while. It's those who are talking on behalf of Amazonia in high offices, in different offices. Be rest assured, she is a fighter. She just dropped from a plane and has not slept, traveling from one continent to another, and she has been talking, and she didn't even want to stop. The power of a lecturer. Friday again,
Mhm.
you don't want to miss the program on Friday because she'll be there talking. And so he says, and Dr. Madam Lobati too. We hold them these categories of intellectuals on very high esteem. Thank you. So this is not my thank you to you, ladies. This is a thank you of this Amazonian. Thank you, ladies, for. So we get back into the discussion. I hope the studio is working on getting all of us on the screen so that we can conclude this discussion for today by talking to Amazonians in an interactive manner. And like I told you, you have to you enjoy something. Dr. Mungwa is going to talk a little bit about it. You are enjoying ABC Amba TV. We want to
Yes,
thank those of you who are subscribing on our platform. Dr. Mungwa, please take over that. Maybe
yes, thank
you
you.
want to talk.
Excellent. I mean, I want to use this occasion to thank you, Paddy, as the news director. I have seen a market improvement in the quality of the transmission. I know that yesterday, I mean, it was a little bit wobbly. I understand it was from some sort of instability from the satellite itself. We understand that. But I noticed that for the past week, there has been a market improvement. I've seen the background, the virtual office, and everything. It looks so magnificent. And I really enjoy watching your programs, especially yesterday when our pa, Augustine Dangam, I gave I mean, how do I call it? A magnificent presentation on the Amazonian problem. I mean, this is something that I wish I had had this lecture in secondary school. I think I'll be a better Amazonian than I am today, but I'm learning it at this time. It's very unfortunate, but they say it's never too late to learn. And coming today, Professor Bridget,
As you're
whom I've
speaking,
known
sir,
for long.
I'm sorry for that interruption. As you're speaking, I'm saying, if you, that's my lecturer, my professor, you had already lectured for about 15 years when I was still entering the university, and you were already leaving the Cameroons to come and lecture in the United States when I was just coming into the university. You are learning. Then the youths that are watching, I'm saying this to say that all of you watching right now, you have no excuse than to get your pens, be humble, and copy, because this is going to be a week of learning. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry for that interruption.
Okay, no, that's perfectly fine. I said coming today and listening to Professor Bridget Tebo, whom I've known for quite a while, even when she was in California, at UC Berkeley. I think from the internet we got connected. I was just so happy to find an ambassador of such academic status, and I just connected with her. Little did I know that I will actually meet her in person many years down the line. So this is of very great importance to Ambazonians. There are lots of us who are extremely talented, far even talented than those you actually see on television, like myself and others, who have a lot to offer to our community. So rest assured, when we have independence, Ambazonia will be flowing with talent. There will be so much for the local communities to rise up and say, we have everything it takes for us to go where we are. I was communicating on one of the WhatsApp groups, and somebody mentioned a company in Switzerland who's working with them. And little did they know that I actually work with this company. And I've done some work for them. I've done some reviews for them. And I just told them that it's an excellent company because even here in New York, I work with them. You see, what a sort of excitement. I mean, the person replies, "Oh my goodness, I'm happy to know this." That at least you have a third party making commentaries on something that they do. And that's the story. That's the story. There are lots of talented Ambazonians. Please rest assured, when we take our country back, I said it and I'm going to say it again, with between 10 and 15 years, we will overtake La Republique. I can say that. We will overtake La Republique in every aspect of technological endeavor. We will overtake them in agriculture. We will overtake them in manufacturing. We will overtake them in bringing up small businesses, because that is the basis of every economy, how to build small businesses. We will encourage small businesses, and with all the know-how that Ambazonians have accumulated over the world, all over the world, we will encourage them to come home. We will make the legislations that will be favorable to them, and they will be able to create small businesses. And with that alone, we are going to take off better than La Republique can ever do in a million years. Because these are all cheats. These are people who have been taught by the French how to be corrupt. In fact, corruption is an art, and they look for many ways, different ways to be corrupt. Okay? So this is the message I want to inform Ambazonians, and it's coming directly from the interim government. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm receiving some other messages on WhatsApp. I just read some of the comments on Facebook, and Amazonians are waiting for the breaking news. I don't know, it's a high breaking news. I think Dr. Munga will make a determination if he's supposed to give it to you today, or who we will rather just wait for the president to do it on Thursday. It's too high for me to make that determination. Yeah,
First, I just want to make a correction. Let me make a correction. I talked about UC Berkeley, but UC Los Angeles. I think Professor
UCLA.
Bridget, yes, just corrected me. But it's California anyway, so at least I didn't miss that one. Okay.
That's amazing.
So
So very soon we're going to indicate
Thursday.
to bring you have seen Dr. Bridget again, right? And Dr. Lobati. So they'll be back. Get ready to talk to them in a few minutes. I will indicate when they bring them. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So I know people are they're very anxious to know about the legal status of the Treasury. Again, I just want to make sure that I follow the rules. It's very important that when you have a legal case of this nature, you have to follow the rules. And the rules will be followed, and people just have to be patient. They have to be patient, but I can reassure them that they will not be disappointed. Okay, I can go on and tell you about the peripheries of this thing, but let me tell you, it's gonna come, and I will lay it straight to you, Amazonians, and you're gonna listen. Forget all this hot wash you hear from Chris Anno and co on whatever television that is. That is not how the world the law works in America. You don't go on television and tell what the law is and how the outcome would be. No, there is a case in motion as we speak. It's real. It's very real. And they will have enough time to come up with whatever they claim they have. So please let Ambazonians just be patient. it will come out. And I'm very certain that before the end of this week, if I'm not mistaken, if it means actually creating a special session for me to come here and talk about it, I will talk about it. So I want to urge all those Ambazonians who, they are very, very concerned about what Chris said. All I'll tell you, forget it, is trash, is rubbish. Okay? I'm coming back, and I'm coming back in full force. He should be waiting, and we see what happens. Over to you.
There are chances that the president will say much more on Thursday. The president has some very topical issues that he will be handling from his office. You just heard the executive assistant of the president, who is also Dr. Bridget Table. You just listened to now the way she's spoken to you. Now the president, record time, you should know there is something he very himself. If with your permission, Dr. Mungwa, I'll be requesting that we have the ladies again and have the last phase of our interaction before we talk to the club members, the board members, and all Ambazonians, those who are generously donating, and how they can go to the website and make some donations for this platform. And that being said, please just get Dr. Bridget and Dr. Winnie Lobati back. Amazonians are yearning to see them again so that we can conclude this last phase of our of the conference for tonight. Yes, Mars, doctors, everyone on the platform is doctor. As we speak,
hello. Okay.
As we speak right now, I need some grace to be able to anchor my lecture. But then I'm going to try. Ambazonians, you're sending some thumbs up. Keep sending this thumbs up and thumbs up and thumbs up and thumbs up as we do this. Okay. Dr. Munga, please, you permit me to start with Dr. Winnie Lobati. She mentioned something very vital with the councils, the war council. Some have called it revolutionary council. We do not even see the difference between the Restoration Council, Revolutionary Council, which was just an aspect of the interim government. She spoke lengthily about that today. That's in comparison with the interim government. And then to crown it up all, Professor Tebo actually gave to us the historical bearing of what we have today as a government. So, Dr. Winnie Lobati, this question will go directly to you. You are categoric with the opinion that we must not go backward. That if we are trying to have a council instead of a government, is a step backward, or even several steps backward. Do you want to highlight on that? And then most probably, as a mind, a free thinker, suggest to the government and to Ambazonians what you think is an alternative, because you find those who foolishly, those who are, I would say, technically choosing this option are either disgruntled, are either ignorant. Most of them are not really ignorant, they are just disgruntled. Some of them are trying to seek relevance. They just want a platform where that can be accommodative because they feel that they do not have control. I'm going to comment on that, but just talk to us. You're clear that we, moving forward, we just have to empower, enhance our interim government. But again, there should be an alternative. What is this alternative that we'll have to suggest that can be more collective if Team Act is not doing what it's supposed to do? If at all we even need it.
Thank you. Make sure my mic is on. Can you get me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Very good.
Yes.
No, you're very loud. We can hear you. Yeah.
All right. Let me take it down a little bit. The first thing I would say, a governing council, we've already been through SCACO and governing council, and now we want to go, and then an interim government, and then now want to go backward to war council or whatever appellation they want to use to describe that structure. It's a loose structure, and the idea about that is one that I think most of the people advocating for that, it's stemming from, if I will put it, their motive. Let's start with the motive. The motive of asking for that is not because they want us to get ahead. It was because they cannot get what they want and control what they think they should control, or manipulate systems that they want to manipulate. And because they are unable to do that, they start flashing this big sign: let's have a war council, a war council. Um, or a governing council. We've been to governing council and we came out with an interim government. I am saying that they are like um, two um, two conclaves late. When we had conclave one and conclave two, that's when they could have proposed that as a loose structure where they had everybody at that time, which technically the interim government was also to be for everybody to form this one united front. But I think the real problem and the real purpose, it's not because they want us to get ahead. It's because they cannot get what they want as individual. It has an ulterior motive. And because you cannot manipulate, you cannot control, you cannot do things, then you start pushing this and making the structure that is working as a wrong structure, or painting it black because you do not, maybe don't like the individual. You cannot control that individual. You cannot manipulate that individual at that hand. So you make it feel like it is bad. Give a give a dog a bad name, and then everybody will see that dog as bad. That's what it is. You're asking about ACT. ACT is a coalition, Amazonia Coalition, Team ACT, and that is a coalition where we are expecting, and hopefully every Amazonian group or organization that has the same aspiration as we do have in the interim government to come under this umbrella, so to make it easier and facilitate our Swiss led process or mediation process. However, we can, some of them feel that the interim government is not in government, and so it should be sunken, and then we can create these other new structures. But let me take two steps back. Majority of the people and majority of the groups that are criticizing the interim government, and specifically President Sako, about financial impropriety, which nobody really knows until you really truly do
which is
an audit.
unsubstantiated.
Yes, it's unsubstantiated. But majority of those people that point fingers, look at it. None of them have ever given account to the people of Amazonia for the money that they've collected from the people of Amazonia. None whatsoever. Tell me one group that has ever published, at least when when we had late Comrade Shea of blessed memory, when we did that, they did that first audit, internal audit, let's call it that, because that's what it was. And they decided that they should publish this on ABC. It was published. Um, which other group, which other organization that is seeking the restoration and statehood and sovereignty of Amazonia has ever done that? It's sad because SCAPAC, some of the people that were holding accounts of SCAPAC took money from or took reports and went and gave it to a group that was not even contributing into SCAPAC instead of giving it to the people of Amazonia. So we have all these things that are coming in, but they are all wash. It is because people cannot get what they want. There are ways that they want, and so they try to use other means. And according to what we have now, It's an organization. The organization being that it's a platform where we have a coalition of similar minds, similar goals to get ahead for negotiation and negotiation only. We last
Thank you
there.
very much. Emphatically, you are saying that most of their reasons is centered on is ulterior. Their objective is mostly ulterior. Some of them out
Yes,
of wickedness. Some of them are a few of them out of perhaps ignorance, and those are mostly those
ignorance.
that have been evangelized into that movement. Professor Table, I want to come to you right now. We know Dr. Winnie's Loba's opinion on this issue. So we will talk a little bit about the government. We understand that in 2017, our stolen independence was officially declared, by implication restored. And we as a people had a state, a flag, a government prior to the time that we were assimilated. You expatiated actually on that. What is the legal basis of this restored independence that was declared by Sisiko in 2017?
Okay. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Very loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Um, the 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 legal basis stem from the fact that in 1961 we were two separate states with two legal systems who came in through agreement to become a federated state of Cameroon. Those stipulations and rules binding that federation were also made known, and one of those was that the nature and form of the state was not to be changed. And so, if anything was going to change, it had to be written down, it had to be recorded, not only in the Cameroon archives, but also at the UN level. So there's no union of treaty between the two states. You also have the issue that the member states of the UN that voted for the independence of Southern Cameroons voted an overwhelming vote. You had that 64 you in favor of independence of Southern Cameroons. You have 24 nations, all members of the UN General Assembly, that voted against, and you had 10 nations that abstained. So if you take the 10 nations that abstained, you add to the 24 that voted against, you still have 34, not even half of the 64 that voted overwhelmingly. That alone is what we're talking about. There's no way in the UN archives or anywhere else that you see a nation that had overwhelming votes, such as Southern Cameroons, for independence by the UN General Assembly, still under colonization today. And so the case of Ambazonia is a glaring case of a failed decolonization process between the British and the French and the United Nations. Something smells fishy. That's all I can say for now. And that is why that restoration that was declared or reclaimed on October 1st, 2017, is very legal.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Ambazonians are watching, following all your reaction on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you all for the comments you're giving. We want to take a few calls to round up. And before I get to Dr. Mungo, I'm asking the technicians to get the number on the screen. We'll be receiving just a few more calls. It's time for you to call and make a contribution today for this conference. I want to remind you that tomorrow we'll be having religion, church, and politics. That will be starting up the conference of tomorrow. Pastor Commando, Pastor Victor, few others that Pastor Commando will most probably choose. They'll be talking to us directly in direct relation as to what religion, church, politics, what it has to do. I hope Dr. Lobati, not the Madam Lobati, the man himself will surely be a part of this church and politics. Dr. Winnie's husband, he's always on air to talk on that. A lot of people know him as Brother Fred. He's a very humble man. I hope he's going to be a part of that. Now, Dr. Mungo, I want you to talk on this lady's, Dr. Winnie has brought an instrumental argument rubbishing this whole illusion of council, a revolutionary council, whatever council, a war council. So it is a fallacy based on our argument. And Professor Bridget has just added, simply, she's added to it, and she has made it, I would say she has ice creamed or creamed the cake with history and legality. Now, I want you to talk on, you're a politician, you're a spokesman of Ambazonia's interim government. As what is the government position? It is evident that either directly or indirectly, the interim government has been invited into such an initiative. What is government position on this whole idea that we now hear Sisiko shockingly is preaching and Weber, the Confucianist, is talking about?
Oh,
What
that
is the
is, thank
interim
you very
government
much.
position on that?
Yes. Thank you very much, Paddy. I think I have to dovetail from what both Dr. Lobati and Professor Bridget Tebo said. And I want to put it in a very picturesque way so that people really understand what it means. As Cameroonians, as Ambazonians, when we went to, did we go there as a revolutionary council? No, we did not. So why are we going to formulate something where we knew that we went to Fumban as two equal partners? We had Prime Minister Jongo Foncha on the one hand, and we have Prime Minister or President Ahijo on the other hand. These were people who were heads of state. They came in there. It was not the leader of a revolutionary council meeting a head of state. So why are we going to reduce ourselves to a revolutionary council? What sense does it make? You tell me. Even you talk to the native, you said, do you know that the head of what is the difference? Which one is more powerful, the head of a council or the head of a government? Which one is more powerful? Go to my village, it is a council. They call it council. It's a council? What the heck is a council? You know, a council is where we go for our little businesses in the village. So a revolutionary council is totally out of place, and I don't even understand the logic or the legal basis for that. We could not have gone to Fumban as a state with our principal, Dr. Jongu Foncha, to meet Mr. Ahijo. And then today we want to turn ourselves into some ragtag group called a Revolutionary Council. That's absolute nonsense. I'm not going to entertain that. And I think every ambassador understands. How can we be going out as a council, a military junta? Or what? Doesn't make sense to me. So the government's position is very clear. As we said about the interim House of Representatives taking over Ngomjua, that's the same thing now. And if you have an interim House of of assembly or representatives, obviously you have a head of state or prime minister or something of that nature. So why are we now going to have a council instead, the revolutionary council? They're incompatible. They're incompatible. So the only logic is that we have an interim government with a president. Am I clear enough? I don't want to go into so much historical facts here. I think this is very, very clear. We are taking off from where we left with John Funcha, with EML Endele, Prime Minister Kale. That is what we are trying to restore. Southern Cameroons, we never knew of revolutionary councils. I've never heard of it in Southern Cameroons. So I don't know where these people are taking this from. I hope it's very clear. Over to you, Paddy.
So it's an aspect, I would say it's confusion. You see, there's something I want us to talk on now and to round up the discussion. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's 7 minutes after 10 p.m. in Ambazonia, and Ambazonians should take questions. We started an hour late. This conference is meant to be for 4 hours each day, so we will not exceed the 1 hour that is left to take your questions. You have in front of you at your beck and call. They are willing to take in your questions. I'm calling on the technicians watching on me. Please kindly bring the number on the screen. Some may not know it. I'll be going through the comment, but this is what I want us to all comment on. We'll take the order from Dr. Lobati. You realize there is a Swiss conference. Cameroon is talking about it. The other day on Equinox TV, which is the colonial TV, they were talking about it. Cameroon has not said no, and they have never officially said yes. The interim government is in Switzerland. Dr. Sako has been there with his team since 2019. And now you realize this whole fear factor, you find a person like Arno putting a step in and a step out. He really doesn't even know what he wants, other than the Mark Baratas, who are also confusionists, trying to bring in something that is not needed. The point is this: there is this year of the interim government, not any subgroup. I'm talking about the interim government led by Dr. Sako. We have confirmed reports. The president said it in Donga Mantum the other day when he went for a visit. Yaoundé has tried to talk with him via their proxies. He has denied. So last year, Yaoundé sent a representative that stayed in Washington for more than a month just to meet with the president, and the president rejected, and they had to go through Sebastian, Prime Minister Phil wanted to talk to the president, and the president is always categorical. He says, if I want to discuss with anyone, I should be having a discussion where President Biya is available, or I'll send an equivalent. So yeah, if you look at all of this, I get all of this just to bring us to this thing that I want us all to comment on. The end of the day is they just want to dismantle it. They thought Chris Ano could do a good job. He managed to do something, but he took mostly noisemakers out, which some are thinking is a blessing. Yaoundé is so desperate, they want to dismantle the interim government. What possibly could be their objective? Is it so that we have and then we appear in a national dialogue, and then the problem is reduced into a national problem? What could possibly be Yaoundé's objective? Trying to lobby people from within, and people that Ambazonians have trusted, to just dismantle this structure. They want to break it. What could possibly be their objective? Dr. Lobati, please.
Okay,
You have to start. We're going to follow the cycle.
All right, thank you. Paddy, there is the divide and rule mechanism that La République has used on us, former British Southern Cameroonians, for a long time, and that had been working for them only to a certain point. And that's why they had to mask, hide our history and our identity so we would not really know who we are. But as time has passed, the few faithful past, like the Pa Augustine, Pa Joe Litome, and others, and Pa even Pongalampo, who is in jail, many, many others, some have gone ahead of us. They knew that story. They knew that truth can never be buried forever. Give it time. The passage of time, the rain will wash it. Even if you buried it, truth will always surface and will remain intact. It doesn't need help of its own. So we have come to maturity that we have now realized. To be honest, in 2016, if you ask me our history prior to 2016, I will give you something different, which Professor, if I wrote the test in Professor Tebo's class, I would probably have failed. I would have had an F. But then when all this started in 2016, believe me, I went into the UN archives, started digging documents about us, reading them, and then I said, oh my God, what is this? Hey, is this how we had been deceived? And then I understood why we were treated as second class citizens because of the manipulation, all what was going on. So then I said, I cannot stand for injustice. And so guess what? La Republique would use anything, anyone, anyhow to try to achieve its goal to keep us as slaves. And mind you, it's really not just about us as people, it is more about the natural resources and the benefits that they are getting from our territory. And they know that if they can mingle us, dilute us, because remember they're talking about this Anglophone thing, and you have a lot of people from La République citizens who have crossed over. They've learned English. They are fluent in English now, and so according to them, they are Anglophones. So, they have so many ways. Believe me, if ever there comes a time where during any negotiation, I will never advocate that we even stand for a plebiscite or a referendum to determine whether we want to go. We were already independent. And we don't want to stay with La Republic. It is categorically clear, and that's where we are going. We want our separate ways, and we're going separately. They couldn't accommodate us. Here, I always have this question. How could the UN be so wicked to us? Even in their resolution, that you write such a resolution and you know that the party, because you forced us into these options that we had, the real option was for us to have our outright independence without being attached to something or someone. But then you are forcing us to, it's like that father who is forcing this young daughter to go marry old man, and that daughter is crying and screaming. That was like what, and of course there was no love, nothing, and it was just a, or they made a contract to make sure, let's wash our colonize and let's move on. Hey, colonization is over. Okay, so Paddy La Republique still wants our natural resources. And if they can find greedy Amazonians who do not know what they are missing, like Esau, they will sell their birthright for a bowl of red stew, they will use them.
And that they will defecate it after 24 hours. And we are seeing that happening in broad daylight. Please just cream the cake. Let's eat it.
I don't even know what to say at this point. I think my sister, Dr. Lobati, has said it all.
She just cracked it up all.
But if I understood your question, or the last part of what we're supposed to be doing, or rounding
the
up
idea
commentary,
is what could be Cameroon's interest in. It's true they are failing in the war. They thought they were going to crush us in a week or in 2 weeks. So the war is getting difficult, more expensive than they even expected. Right now, they're using other strategies. What could actually be their calculation? Why are they afraid to confront a government, an interim government? Why do they want a council? And
You
why
know,
are certain Amazonians really buying this whole idea? What should really be the thought? I want to see if we can get into the thoughts and bring it in front of Amazonians, because Amazonians are counting on us to make a determination or to choose what to listen to and to follow.
okay, let me start with those Amazonians that um, have refused to see the light or have failed to understand what their history really is and what this quest or the Amazonian quest for freedom and independence is all about. I just have one word to sum them up. It's greed. Greed is the only reason that they have blocked their minds and they continue to fall prey to not only the divide and conquer tactic that La République is using, tactics that their colonial masters had used since the colonial days, France. And so they continue to use that because they have nothing better to do but to continue to struggle to have breadcrumbs from the table of their master. So greed is what is pushing them. The other thing that I want to mention in passing is that La République itself has a bigger problem because La République knows that if it allows or if it goes to that negotiating table, she has no chance whatsoever because of the issue of two states with equal powers. And so you cannot be claiming and declaring a war on a partner of equal status and claiming that they are part of your territory. Proof is your independence or La République independence was 1960, January 1st, where their boundary was set separate from Southern Cameroon that had independence October 1st, 1961. And so we have here, if you can see, two separate flags representing the two countries. And so going to that negotiable, La République du Cameroun knows that they don't have a leg to stand on. They know that they have committed a series of fraudulent things that they call their legal standing because they are also delusional in that France will continue to support them. And because France also has in the past tried to support in exchange for selling their soul, in exchange for allowing France to take every resource that they can get from Cameroon, every single thing, from timber to oil to coffee, cocoa, everything goes to France for next to nothing. And the people
Yeah.
are suffering. Recently, however, that faith in France has become shaky because I think even France itself is getting tired of talking to quote unquote the master student who used to be the best student of France. But that student is no longer listening to anybody because the same people that advised him to do a couple of things differently, he refuses to listen to them. UN had suggested dialogue in addition to other nations to try and curb or stop, the so-called crisis in the Anglophone territory. They failed. The United Nations had presented them with the two flags or the maps of the two states. Nothing has worked. And so the issue is that La République knows that they are at fault and that they are teetering on the brink of collapse. They have nowhere to go. And now they are facing an existential challenge, just like this war is an existential war on Amazonians. They have a bigger problem because now they are faced with three fronts of quote unquote wars. You have the war in Amazonia or southern Cameroons, you have the so called the Lake Chad Basin or Boko Haram, and now you have the war of succession in La République. Three major fronts that they are fighting, and they cannot survive it. And so, because they had depended on France and even the United Nations to quote unquote fight Boko Haram in the north, now even the United States realizes that this blind support for the struggle in Boko Haram is probably, and so the United States has started doing things differently. The recent TPS status, temporary protective status, that the United States provided is proof that they are beginning to understand that the war in
and
southern Cameroon,
recognize.
yes, that there
Yeah,
is that war in Cameroon and something has to be done. While the other nations are waiting for United States leadership, you also have the issue that Mawini Lobati mentioned, the issue of interest of some of these nations. It's about resources in southern Cameroons. It's about the
yeah.
resources that they are exploiting. And so it's not just about the war on Amazonia, it's what some of these nations and the international community stand to
Is
gain
what they hope
or
to
to
gain.
lose, or what
Yeah,
they hope to gain. Case in point, you have Russia, you have Vietnam, you have China, you have
yeah.
Switzerland. All these people and groups or nations are the largest
Coming to
timber
that gold mine.
exporters from Cameroon. Yes, largest timber exporters from Cameroon, including China and Scotland. And so, what they want essentially is a peaceful Cameroon so that they can continue their exploitation of timber or whatever. But
In spite of
somehow,
who is
the
gaining
government
what or
of La
losing what.
Republic, exactly. But somehow, the government of La Republic doesn't even understand that these people who had invested and are doing business with them want peace. And so they're carrying on as if nothing matters. But it is
Yeah.
that they're creating, because this is a botched decolonization process, and it will go the way that other areas fighting for their independence went through.
I'm
It
looking
will
for
continue, like we
Professor
say, till
Bridget.
the last man
I
standing.
would hasten to say that Professor Bidret, I will hasten to say that for all these stakeholders, business practitioners, or whatever institutions, institutional framework, global of this global framework we're talking about, if they want to do genuine business in the Gulf of Guinea, in their calculation, they should have the former British Southern Cameroons, Amazonia, as an entity to negotiate with, and not thinking that they're going to do any negotiation with Yaoundé and it will be allowed because we will
Oh,
sabotage the whole
absolutely.
process. We,
Absolutely.
we
And it's because, let me finish my line of thought. It's because they
okay.
have been doing business with La République under falsehood and pretense, under illegal conditions that they
Yeah,
believe that
just a
they
minute.
can carry on like that. And so now they know better, because they know that Amazonia is here to stay. That freedom is ours. And so they know that if they carry on other investments or negotiations with La République, those negotiations
Okay.
and deals do not involve Southern Cameroon or Amazonia. They know that now, even if they don't want to come out and say so. But some of them, and the
Plain.
brave ones, are beginning to say so. They used to hide behind the fact that, oh, Amazonia, if granted independence, will become another South Sudan or this and that. They know better now. They know. And so it is
Thank you.
incumbent on them to do the right thing.
Amazing. We have one of our daddies from the home front. He's been live. I know Dr. Mungwa has been jotting down. He was just coming to blow it up. Sir, you still have the floor to comment on this. But this caller calling in from the home front wants to make his contribution. The Amazonians are listening to you. Please go ahead.
I need to go.
Thank you very much, Buddy. Greetings to Dr. Lubati. Greetings to Dr. Mungwa. Greetings to Professor Holdene.
Professor Bridget Table.
Okay, Professor Bridget Table. Greetings to you all. I enjoyed your conference. There is something that I just made me to talk, and I will talk for PG. So that
Okay.
phone go get what I will ask her. The thing we don't make now the vex, and this issue for Weber, where they talk about revolutionary council. Now, when you talk about revolutionary council, me the man no let book like it. I put myself back. How choice the Republic of Cameroon? We joined to a revolutionary council, and that revolutionary council get we out of the place. Just a simple, out of our own option. But when the option would be forced within, we'll go on a plebiscite to join them. And then now, they don't change inside that join will be join them. We join them when they change the say we'll meet that state of La Republic of Cameroon. You go change that to La Republique Fédérale de Cameroon for French. That's the Federal Republic. Then we'll get the state of East Cameroon and the state of West Cameroon, making sure that we'll be equal. There will not to do with the revolutionary country for that agreement. Just like woman decide to come to you, United States for I'm married. If you don't make the marriage certificate, when you become into a true revolutionary country, you can't use a force to enter the house. And just mutual agreement, you come into the house. Who's that actual common again? We will be that force to come on to get out of that house. I wonder what this book would it do the learner. The learner will enforce it. So I don't want to ask Madam Professor Tepu. The document with the United Nations was 20th September, after the independence of La Republic of Cameroon. 20th September that very year, they will be admitted at the United Nations, respecting their territorial boundary and everything. In that document, when I don't find out from nowhere, La Republic, like Southern Cameroon, inside that document, but I don't find out from nowhere, they still maintain that La Republique Fédérale de Cameroon or the Federal Republic of Cameroon, the state of East Cameroon, find out no. I would have been find out no. What after he changed from the United States to the Republican system, 1984, but I did not find out no that in the day, and I was documented inside there. And again, to ask Weber, I want to ask Weber, when we free go meet somebody, and you want me that person, you don't that independent for me that person. Which revolution does it? Who only one that can move find a war come? What that junior treaty not? What is wrong with some of these people? Madam, that person had about a file from the United Nations. All these things they did it. Anything inside the file when they shoot that file when they be the Republic of Cameroon. For the 20th of September, the same year 1960, when they will get independent, I meet the United Nations. Anything with the social serving Cameroon inside there.
Okay.
Is there anything in the social that will be inside there will maintain that Federal Republic of Cameroon? Is there anything will maintain that United Republic of Cameroon? Or anything they will choose, you don't cancel at all, you don't go back for the Republic of Cameroon. If those things they know they go to be that reason of the Revolutionary Council, we will just talk about go quietly. We buy it not correct.
Okay, Daddy.
Not correct.
Okay, Daddy. Thank you very much. Roy. Yeah.
Be careful. If you want to talk, they talk the money, me talk you quiet, talk the money. I'm gonna send this contribution for you get that. Say number one for the more let
Okay.
All right.
Why the revolutionary council? We get for lead restoration, interim house of representative or not all that you know, just get to the quality. What revolutionary can do? She what? You know, behave like terrorists. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prof, it is in your hand. I cannot say anything. This.
Okay. Well, let me respond in pidgin also so that he can understand better. Thank you plenty for that question. Thank you for the question where you don't ask, or the series of questions. Them I go only take the part where you talk about documentation of some of these legal things. Malo Bati don't already talk about the Revolutionary Council, so I go only talk about the UN archives and all these documents. Nothing, no day for any place. Now for La Republique archives or for UN archives, where the show say Southern Cameroons don't be part of La République du Cameroon officially. And so when they get that their own independence for 1960, their own boundary, their territorial boundaries be frozen for international law. Now that one day, we will see 'em. When Southern Cameroons began their own independence for 1961, October 1st, their own boundaries too be frozen for international law. Now that one day, when I proof say na two countries where they come together. Even when they come together for that federation, La République ratify a part of the federation, and they're supposed to no change that form of federal state. It not be supposed to change, but they can't change them. And the document not be completed. So Southern Cameroons not ever sign that agreement. And so all the proof where we need, say na separate country will be, say the war where Paul Biya declare on Southern Cameroons na very illegal war. Say the occupation of Southern Cameroons na illegal occupation. All that one's na fact. So no document, no day for any place where the show say Southern Cameroons be ever sign that agreement, or say they be don't decide formally for be La Republique and United Nations to don't sign the document. So part like you talk now, people where they don't drink mimbo or they had no curry for inside, they can't bring away all this confusion and go slow. So we struggle and quest na legitimate struggle. We get the history, we get the facts for back us off. And because of the fact, say the same United Nations General Assembly, they be don't vote 64 against 24. No be small matter. So no be even something we will get to the duel on. We don't win, they don't lose. Simple. Thank you.
Ma talk something about ma answer that question and also the beginner for professor. But
No, they talk
No talk.
revolutionary this thing for war, revolutionary war
ma
country.
talk ma talk something for here, pa. The Queen for England na head of state for like 5 different nations. Canada na one, UK na one, Ireland, Scotland, I think Australia and New Zealand. Now they are head of state. So when La République they began their 50th anniversary and they be celebrate them, the UN Secretary General at that time be bring 2 maps. Can't get 'em for Mr. Bia. That was clear indication say not 2 countries than this. Why they be look at Mr. Bia as we head of state, but we be 2 different countries with that 2 maps. And wait when we dey talk to them and say, we not want we not want a head of state for La Republic for be we head of state. We want go we dey take we map and we dey go and we go put we own head of state and we don't put we own head of state. Now they for the way the whole thing tight. And so they fear, they say, if they go for negotiation, wait till they go talk. They not get answer for give. Because that 2 map, we don't talk, say, when I be 2 countries. I'm just
Simple.
saying, I add that one for visual aid. Make people remember that one.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing will be show the two flags.
Okay, thank
I
you.
know get I
As
know get
we are as we are concluding to hand over to the ladies in the studio, Dr. Munga, there's something which I want you to combine with everything to on. I'm just seeing now callers keep coming. Caller, just a moment. Caller, are you there? Can you hear me? Hello, caller. Yeah,
I'm
this
going to
caller has
bed.
called a couple of times. A lot of callers have called in and they are finding it challenging. I've just seen now from Ochiba Nursing's War on Facebook. It says abomination. Chris Arno has insulted Patterson that he knows nothing about the struggle. This is scandalous. I think sometime in the this is the level of arrogance. This is the level of arrogance that you can see coming from Ano. I don't know if that is true. I'm going to investigate after this. But then I know that Ochiba will not make such a statement. I'm sure because Ano came out this evening and he has made some statement and Ochiba has it. Okay. Caller, can you speak? Hello, caller, can you speak? You're live on ABC Amba TV. Okay, when
Maybe
your
my
line is good. Yes, they're having. He's calling from the home front. A lot of them are calling. I think the network. A lot of people are complaining that the network from the home front in recent days is not good. We are concluding the program for today, and Dr. Mungwa will just be our last speaker. Hopefully, we will have almost all the panelists will be with us again on Friday as we're concluding. You are going to have the opportunity to watch Dr. Winnie Lobati on Friday from 10 p.m. ABC Amba TV will broadcast it. That is from the United States. We're going to broadcast the program at the home front. Most probably, I will have to ask permission from Storms to know if they will permit us to do that on social media. Before that time, Ethics for an Emerging Nation will have a live session on Saturday at 10 p.m. That is strangely, but Ma Dorothy has also indicated that she wants us to have something on Friday. So we may have something on Friday, which I'll communicate that to you. Most probably there'll be something on Friday. Now, this is what we're getting, that Chris Arno has the audacity. I call it audacity because this is who is Patterson in this struggle. I think that he is the genuine leader that we have in jail. He's consistent. Patterson has proven he's willing to die for the struggle. He's not just thinking about self. If Cameroon does not want to liberate him, contrary to the other leaders that are in captivity, that will rather sell our liberation for their freedom. Patterson is willing to die for our freedom. But we have other leaders who will preferably want to be released instead of being uh, uh, paying the price that is worth it. And now you have Chris Arnold. Chris, you see why people call him Chris Arnold. He is now saying that Patterson knows nothing about the struggle. What an insult. It's like me coming into a technical college and saying that Dr. Munga knows nothing. You see the arrogance because of the stage that was given to Chris Arnold. Chris Arnold, I don't know where he is a journalist from, where he was trained as a journalist, what caliber of journalist he is, that his diction is so frail, his his articulation and content is so weak. I don't know what kind of journalist he is to talk about Patterson. Patterson is not any form of a teacher in the Cameroons. He's somebody that Bia yes name and he's afraid of. And Chris Anu will make such a preposterous statement. Dr. Munga, please. I'm sure maybe our mothers will they are vibrating now. They want to talk on that, but I think the floor is all yours.
All right, thank you, Paddy, panelist, Dr. Lubati, Professor Bridget Tebo. I think it's been quite a pleasure for me to be here today, and I believe the rest of Ambazonians to listen to you. I'm very excited that Dr. Lubati talked to us about the legislative aspect of this movement, and Professor Tebo went into the historical and some of the very, very, how do I put it, very complicated aspect that surrounds our liberation struggle and the historical aspect of it. I think she was able to demonstrate very clearly exactly what the situation is and the legal component of it and the fact that it is a right for us to pursue. I mean, just to dovetail on what she said, I think she picked out one word, which I actually wrote it down before she said it. She said greed in La Republique. They don't know what to do. That's all they are. That's what they're all about. They are so greedy that they believe that they can eat their cake and have it. And we've come at the point where, I mean, when you look at the world today, it's not the world of the 60s. So they're trying to use tactics and techniques of the 60s or 70s or 80s or the 2000s to apply to the 21st century. It's not going to work. Technology has been able to be the equalizer. That's the equalizer of the 21st century, which means that, Chris, I know things that you may just call home and tell people lies, and then everybody will just pick it up and will be the same. That's the same thing that La Republic does. But with the aid of technology and social media, people get the same information almost at the same time, real time. And that has actually been a weapon that they cannot defeat. If we listen to the stories of the 60s, how they dealt with the Bamli case and the Makiza system and the terrorists, I mean, to us, it was like something happening in a totally different continent. I believe that if the same thing had happened today, the outcome might have been different. And that's exactly what is happening. Maybe God, as we say that this is a God ordained struggle, there are many reasons why we can justify it. Why is it that we're able to wait for 60 years before we actually rise up for this power? We needed the enabling environment. And that enabling environment, in my opinion, has been technology. See the part that technology has played in the way information is gathered, in the way information is transmitted, and the way information is processed. Nobody has monopoly over information nowadays. From the kid in high school to whoever a minister or head of state, we have the same level of access to information. And this is something that La Republique has not probably appreciated. Even if they do, they are totally powerless. There's just nothing they can control because this is not technology it is domesticated. It's not something that they created. They just obtain it like everybody else. So I am very confident that come rain or shine, we are going to get to that table, negotiating table, and talk about our complete and total departure from these savages. And I mean it. These people are savages. I don't know whether some of us have been hypnotized, where they keep going back to La Republique. And maybe they have some mental problem that they cannot actually see what is happening. How would you imagine that for 5 years, these people have systematically raped our women, killed our men, killed our women, and yet people today still believe that we have to go back to La Republique? What sense does it make? Does it make logic? What have fellow Amazonians done to each other? They believe that the only way to salvation is to go back to La Republique, who openly hates us, treats us with disdain, abhorrence, hate, all the bad words you can ever think of. And some do it in exchange for money. How much money will it take for you to sell your soul? And you have ministers. You take people like Paul Tasson, who he's actually called Njukan Paul. I don't know how his name changed in La Republique, where we know that even if you change your order of names, it's no longer you, but he's able to change his name. When we were in school, he was called Paul Njukan, but today is Paul Tasson, whatever. And you have Chris Ano, Chris Fobine, whatever. We don't even know who these people are. Look at what they are doing just in exchange for money. It is pitiful. It is pitiful. And you have people like Diongute. You have people like Philemon Yang. You have people like Peter Mafani Musonge. They actually sit and believe that our future is with La Republique. They must be insane. Nobody believes in them. I mean, if they want to pick up their luggage and take a train or whatever to La Republique and settle there, probably change their names, that is fine. We're totally in support of that. We don't need them in Amazonia. We have the expertise, we have the knowledge, and we have the willpower to move forward as a nation. And that's the message I want to tell Ambazonians. We are not stopping at all. We are going to push this thing to its final conclusion, and nobody will stop us. And there's no single person who is more powerful than this revolution, including Dr. Sako. If Dr. Sako believes that today he's no longer going to be a leader, we'll look for somebody else to take it on. Because the ultimate goal is Boya. That includes me. If I'm not able to take it to Boya, they should kick me out and take some other person to do it. So this is not a joke. And I want to make Amazonians understand this today. Nobody will stop us on our way to Boya. Over to you, Paddy.
Thank you, and thank you so very much. Just to add up again to what we have discussed tonight, we'll be giving the mic to the ladies in the studio in a few minutes. Dr. Winnie Lobati, I want to say thank you so very much. Professor Bridget Table, I want to say thank you very much. Dr. Martin Mungwa, I want to say thank you very much. I want to give you up again for tomorrow. We'll be having religion, church, politics, and the struggle. That will be the first segment of our discussion. And then by 8 p.m., latest 9 p.m., we are going to be having Barrister Ghana Valentine with other attorneys that will be talking to us about they're going to come on the resolutions, the treaties, and everything that has to do with the struggle. I cannot even describe the program very well. They are just the right people to talk about it. So we'll have them to do that. And we'll resource mobilization need you to begin the program of tomorrow with some analysis during the news, and most probably to join in ending it as we end it tomorrow. We will have Dr. Mungwa again on Thursday, if possible, because he's a very busy man, to present the president before the president addresses the nation. Dr. Martin Mungwa again on Friday will give a closing speech to this conference. He is the man on top of the communications department in the nation of Amazonia, and this is a very important conference. His department has helped us with a lot of resources to make it a success, and I'm sure he will be concluding the program on Friday. On Thursday, just so you do not forget, the president prime time to the people and taking questions to the public. We will give you the exact time. If it is at 10 or 9 p.m., we'll communicate with the office of the president. We hopefully may be having the vice president also talking to us on Friday. If not, then we may have an exclusive interview with the vice president over the weekend for some very pertinent issues. But probably we'll be having the vice president. Tomorrow, Pa August and Dangam will be back for his second and last talk of this conference. You do not want to miss it. It's a conference like never before. It's a time for Amazonia. Amazonia is rising to fall no more. Star Smart, Onye Opala, the mic is all yours.
All right, thank you all for standing by. I'm sure that you enjoyed all of the lectures that has come your way this evening. Do not forget that tomorrow is another day. One more thing, please tell all of your friends, brothers in the home front and in diaspora to tune in to the news conference this week. Just as you are learning, also help them to learn more. I am Oni Okpala.
And I am Star Smart. Have a blessed night.